Hi, this is Carol Care, and today we'll just be kind of going through together evaluation tools like web.dev or Lighthouse or Wave. And so, first of all, the sites that I choose were basically one of my club's website as well that is derived from Penn State sites.psu.edu. So basically, what I did first, web.dev is just its own website, but for the other two tools, you're gonna wanna, if you have Chrome, it's kind of neat. They just have extensions, so you can just find them here. So Lighthouse is right here, and Wave is right here. So for starters, we're just gonna start off with, this is what the website looks like for PSU KPMD. And we're just gonna look at it. Basically, you take the URL for web.dev, you just need a URL. So you would paste it here and just hit run audit, and it should give you something like this. I'm basically looking over it. I've never done anything like this before I've ever seen. I wasn't aware of evaluation or really accessibility, so researching it overall, there were a few things that interested me. I know a lot of people argue performance versus accessibility, which is interesting. That I would have to look more for, but it is interesting for sure. Some of the things I kind of searched up because they weren't just completely straightforward is limited render blocking resources, which is basically just what's the word? Basically just any URLs that are uh preventing the first contentful paint or the first loading of your website to show up, basically. So a solution for that, apparently, from what I've seen people say online, is really just defer the links, or make it so they render after during down the queue. So that was one thing. This is what this looks like. So this is basically what, so performance not great, accessibility could be improved. Overall, it's fine. SEO is search engine optimization is fine because of psu.edu already having a pretty high place in that. So just to be clear, for me, I wasn't sure about it. For first contentful paint, it's how long does it take for the first item in your thing to load, and then largest is basically largest, and total time is just basically everything, how long it takes. So that's how it is with web.dev. For Lighthouse, you would just go to the website and press this and say generate report, and it should create a new tab and just have this, which is similar to web.dev, has this, but it's kind of more in depth, I believe, with everything. So here it has screenshots of what it looks like, opening it up to loading each millisecond or so. So as you can see here, it's about the same rating, which is performance is not great, accessibility is okay, and the rest are fine. So basically another thing I kind of researched up was basically total blocking time, because what I thought total blocking time was, or what I thought render blocking resources were basically what I thought total blocking time was, or vice versa, if I remember correctly. Total blocking time is basically just the main thread or the main loadout loadout for JavaScript and such. In the original, it's basically total block time is just the time until it for the website to be interactive and responsive. And so the main thread is considered blocked if there's a long task, and a long task is basically any task that loads for 50 milliseconds or more, which is interesting for sure. So there's that. So those two are more performance based, and accessibility in general is something new for me. So going over to accessibility, it has a bunch of highlights. First of all, ARIA, I didn't know what ARIA stood for. It stands for Accessible Rich Internet Applications, which is basically just rating your site on basically how accessible is it. And for accessibility, I didn't know exactly anything, so it's kind of more like about descriptions or alternative navigation, or if your site is viable for screen readers or anything else regarding people with accessibility issues or necessities. So basically, a lot of things like descriptions regarding like ARIA, descriptions didn't really match the elements in the website. So that was like a really big thing to look over. Unfortunately, I don't have direct access to edit the site myself, but just looking at it, you could probably find out a little more. Basically, and the last kind of evaluation tool we wanted to look at was Wave, which is like Web Accessibility Evaluation. So it's more like it's more focused on that. And while there's like errors and other stuff, they're kind of more just like design wise, like contrast and whatnot, like just unused URLs or whatnot, like empty space and such. And so like ARIA here, I was still like a little confused when searching up. I searched up like basically just using the A11Y or Ali website and other like resources like web.dev to find out what is what, basically like the basics and sponsor that. So looking at this in terms of accessibility, as you can see, if we go just like to the website in general, there's like things like this and things like this. So like if you were on a keyboard, you could navigate like easily with that, but it might be a little difficult because a lot of these are not text, they're actually images with text in them, but they'll only recognize the images to say a screen reader or a text-to-speech function. So those are things that we could change up personally for our stuff. There is, again, a lot of pictures which might not be useful for text-to-speech or screen readers, as it might just leave out those things, even though most essential information seems to be via these photos. There's a video which you could also just click on, which is in itself is good. I'm not sure if I don't believe it has subtitles in them, so that must will be tricky. With other pages, I haven't really looked at it, but I believe it's overall the same since the same person made this. So that's that overall on the homepage. That's a concern, I guess, for the most part. I'm not sure if there's good descriptions. Wave is neat because it basically you just press the W on whatever site you are, and it'll mess up the structure a little, but it'll kind of like label everything, which is neat, and such and such. So we had to kind of go in depth for that. So there's that, which is pretty neat, and a concern of mine was basically the dependencies sort of on WordPress and what's the word, and sites.bsu.edu, just because of like the functions that are available to users in order for it to be more like user friendly, or more like you can easily make just like a random website for like a bunch of different clubs. And so like I also ran audits and evaluate the same evaluation tools on the homepage of .psu.edu, which is like this one, right? And going for it, we have, let's start with web.edu, web.dev again, and it's about the same in terms of proportion, with performance being pretty low, but accessibility being like, it's pretty good here, but like there can be improvements and best practice, etc. Overall, it was about the same. PC definitely, the derived like home website definitely has more like probably bigger files and stuff because the photos are more high res or something. So there's stuff like that. Just looking at it, it's surprising because it has less. I'm not really sure. I would have to like search it up more, but it has less ARIA components or elements, which I guess if they have less, it might not be necessary, but they at least have more text things rather than picture-based things, so that's pretty neat. So I think it's just also a case of making accessibility more of an making people more aware of accessibility in general, because otherwise students make people in general with sites with easy building sites based on WordPress is people make it more like artistic based. So like if they want to fit in more information but don't want to clog up the site, they might make like how PSE did it. They might make it like a photo instead, which is actually really not accessible apparently. Or yeah, so which is not a thing a lot of students think about, but like would be helpful definitely. So it might not be easy to do that on sites based on like WordPress and stuff, but you could also give like an alternative captioning or something, which might be useful. Inspecting the page, personally, I had a hard time navigating it because it's I'm just not very good at used to code or like inspecting code in sites. I'm still kind of a beginner, but looking at it, it's kind of nice because it highlights points for you. So if you wanted to like look over things like render blocking resources and deferring URLs and total blocking time and basically inlining certain tasks or whatnot, or long tasks, or basically editing the load queue or ARIA and just like providing more descriptions, more alternative captions and stuff. Like even for you could keep things like this, but offer those captions or descriptions. So screen readers could still have it when you press on it. You can still have like the information in here, but the picture itself can go away, I guess. There's a lot of different ways you could do it. Additionally, even like with this, I won't go too in depth because that's for another time. But additionally, with that, there was this interesting website I found, which is I was in the middle of reading it, but it's basically building the most successful site possible with a perfect lighthouse score. And I just thought it was interesting because basically, obviously, it's a little out there because it's purposely trying to trick the tool that is supposed to help you. But they were trying to make a point of, what's the word? Basically, what's the word? Basically, don't always be dependent on the tools, even though they are good guidelines and such. I mean, even the Ally website says this isn't like a all comprehensive checklist, but it is a good place to start and have like a guide. And I thought this was an interesting read, so I'll just kind of link it. But anyways, thanks for watching and have a good one. See you next time.